I have followed Adele's whole journey to stardom. I watched Dream Academy. I did not watch the actual live. I watched a Netflix documentary. The Netflix documentary did a lot to me, for me, all of the emotions, all of the feels, watching Cat's Eye blow up, seeing all of the discourse happen. It is a time to be alive. Let's just say that. I'm a firm believer in everything happens for a reason. And I think that Adela's story is top tier example of everything happens for a reason. It's been what 5 6 months since her debut and her singles Machine Girl, okay, Sex on the Beat, Super Scar, Death by Devotion. We're gonna talk about it. It is a moment and I really want to see her with Demi Lovato. I don't know if that's gonna happen, but it's happening around my birthday, so I might manifest tickets. I don't know. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. But in preparation for this video, I watched her MTV interview, and I was just overwhelmed with the amount of tidbits and tips. Listening to her talk about her mindset and her story on the way of an artist's life. I've been reading The Artist's Way, and this whole year, this whole gap year, has been me connecting further with my artistry. So it was very important to me to really break down what's going on here when it comes to how she's expressing herself and what she's choosing to do. There's a lot to take from that video, and I wanted to share it. So she did this MTV interview, okay, which I feel like is such a moment. I didn't get very many MTV moments. I'm not a 90s baby. But I remember watching MTV on cable and just loving it. So the fact that she had an MTV push, just a moment, a pitch perfect moment in the studio. She got the what's it called? She got the DJ set out. She got her dance break. She got the vocals, the acapella, the layers. I was obsessed watching that. And that's the kind of video that I will just watch over and over and over and over again. Um, and I did. I, in fact, did that. In the interview, she talks about pursuing greatness. And there's something in a person that you see, a mindset, a way of speaking, where you know they're going to be great, not just because they're talented, not just because of their skill set that they honed over years, but the way that they think. Okay, we see this in Timothy Chalamet and his awards speech when he was like, yeah, I'm not ashamed to say it. I want to be great and I'm going to be great. And that's what I'm pursuing. And I'm so happy to see all of these young people really air it out. Air it out. Be honest. Be authentic. This is the journey. This is what's happening here. And I'm so happy to see someone like Adele say that, because she had a clear cut mission when she was going through Dream Academy, and that was to inspire girls. And that whole interview was so inspiring. So let's get into it, okay? Let's start with how she manifested her breakout, okay? She went professional at 11 years old. She's been training as a ballerina since she was 3, I think, which is crazy. So she already had the skills and the dream. She was already living in her dream. And that's something that's a bit different than my journey. There was never a question for her. Her parents definitely supported that. And she had this fixed mindset. But when you're growing up as a ballerina, the level of discipline and work that you have to put into it just crafts you in a way that is so admirable and is so important to who she is now as an artist, because that frames how she's thought about herself. She talks about how she saw her idols on TV. She saw Hannah Montana, Britney Spears, and all of these pop icons, and was like, yeah, I can do that. That's me. I'm going to do that. And then her brother brought up the fact that everyone she was watching was American. So although she didn't have limits around her capabilities or what she could do, she did have limits around who she was as a person and her culture and being accepted. And so her journey around acceptance really brought out of me the fact that as an artist, it's common for us to feel like outsiders. It's common for us to be confused about like why people don't think the same way that we do. It's common for us to be very much pushed aside because of the way that we think and the way that we act. And it's a little bit of a marker for an artist to be an outsider, and it doesn't even have to be reflected on like from people within your life. It can just be you internally feeling like an outsider, feeling different, feeling outside of the mold. And I definitely agree with that as I go through college, because I'm over here like, what's going on? How is everyone doing this? This is just not fitting for me. That's how I know I'm supposed to be an artist, okay? And seeing her go through that, it's really interesting how it's so different from me, because for me, I'm building a skill set. I'm building confidence. She already had that. She already saw her idols as human. And a part of being an artist and wanting to be great and wanting to have a legacy is that you have to understand people that have already done this are no different than you and are no less capable than you are to do the thing that they pursued and what you want to pursue. And so seeing her mindset out the gate from when she was young was very validating to me. Okay. I don't understand what it might have been like to live in a conservative country. And I'm sure that it was very much a battle to want to conform, to want that love and acceptance, but also not give a damn and love yourself and not doubt yourself and hold yourself back from being your full authentic self. So when she talks about her idols, she talks about all of the videos that she consumed and the shows and the music. And it really hit me because in the beginning of last year, I went through this deep dive into all of my social media accounts, got rid of anything that didn't really matter, and followed people that reflected law of assumption content, manifestation, and vlogs and lifestyles that reflect the one that I'm building. And my Instagram looks so different than it did and what I consume on a daily basis. And I'm consuming much less right now because I'm focused on action. But when my focus was consuming, I'm like, I'm only consuming what I am and who I want to become, because it will inevitably reflect. And she did that as well. And with the mindset that she had of like, yeah, I can be this, I can do this, the confidence, while she was consuming it, it was just literally programming her brain to be like, you can do this, you can have this is who you are. And it made me feel amazing, although in her journey, it's not a linear, it wasn't all about confidence. It couldn't have been all about confidence because she felt like an outsider and it wasn't a linear process. I mean, she was working hard, she was probably physically exhausted, and at a time, she's mentally exhausted because she talks about having poor mental health and finding music through that. Bad mental states in artistry are often put together. I mean, the mad artist trope is a very significant trope in American media and general media because it's true. I mean, I think that sensitivity to life allows someone to create, allows someone to put something into the world that they want to see that's different, that makes someone feel something that they felt because they're sensitive enough to feel it. They're not numb to it. And it is a strength. It's a very sad trope, to be honest. I mean, the Queen's Gambit, Challengers, Tick Tick Boom. Like, we see these people use narcotics or drugs or alcohol or everything under the sun to suppress this anger. We see people get it taken away from them, like in Challengers, and have to deal with that and have to create a new path with it for themselves within their dream. And Tick Tick Boom, when we see artists be homeless or like a fear of no security, or literally death and have death all around them. Like, an artist's life is often paired with a hard life, especially when you think about pursuing artistry. A lot of the time in this capitalist society, it's a moot point about whether or not you'll be successful. It's like 1 in a million chance type thing. And it is often paired with struggle. And I just reject that so much. Like, art is life. And the fact that teachers aren't paid the wages that they should be, the same that artists aren't paid the way that they should be, and how the elitism that's within the art industry and within fine art and everything that really limits people's mindsets, because art is for everyone. And it became, okay, if this is going to be a huge thing, if this is going to be something that someone does, then you have to be in this minute group of people, and you have to commune and collaborate and sell to this certain group of people, you know? And it also has to do with like money laundering and like taxes and all that stuff. But that's with fine art. But if an artist is who you are, then that's who you are. You can't negate that. You can't stop that. That's who you are. Adele gives advice in the MTV interview, and she says, if you want it enough, you're going to do the work. Just put in the work. And if no one's going to believe in you, then do it in silence. No one needs to believe in you. Just do what you do and put it out there and let it be seen, and something's going to come from it. And I was like, yes, because I know now that the fear around not having security, or the fear around what people will think, actually will get in the way if you let it. Like, even me getting to film this video is like a huge mental trek to like get myself in front of the camera and do what it is that I want to do. Why is that so hard? Because of the fear that's attached to it, the doubt that's attached to it. And there shouldn't be. There really shouldn't be. So, going back into her life, right? She has this mastery. She's ingesting all of this content. She's seeing their points of view. She's seeing how they're thinking, and she's seeing the little techniques that they're doing. And it's not their body of work, you know, and it's not something that she feels she can't do. So what does she do? Mimic. She ingests their points of view. You start thinking that way. And this is where the law of assumption and mental reprogramming comes in. Because when I think about my dance journey, right? Part of my dance journey is going on YouTube, seeing music videos that I absolutely love, and even, okay, don't laugh, but like Disney Channel dances, like Another Cinderella Story, Cheetah Girls. I'll be practicing them dances, okay? I'm ready for them to play in the club. I'm a little too ready, okay? It's just about mimicking that. But also, I watch documentaries and all of these interviews where these people, these artists, are talking about the way that they think. And I can adopt that. When you go into law of assumption and you understand that it's all thought, manifestation is all thought and repetition of thought, then you really start to understand that these artists are just people who chose to repeat a certain mindset to themselves and embody that and live in that. And Adele is one of them. She consumed what she needed to consume. She had this confidence and this mastery over dance. And then when she was going through a bad time, she turned to writing, to songwriting, and to music, because it was one of her loves. It was something that she enjoyed. And then she started off with the technique. She started off, how do I do this? How do I figure this out? And then she realized that it was a form of creative expression and started to enjoy expressing her feelings and enjoy processing them through that art form. And that stood out to me too, because like the fact that she started with the technique, I am a perfectionist at my core. Okay, I really am. And so I always start off with the study of it. But there's a certain level of mastery of something that you need in order to then play with it. You have to know the rules in order to break them, stuff like that, I have to learn how to draw shapes and figure drawing before I can really make a piece of fan art that I'm proud of. Like there's a step to the process. And that stood out to me as an artist because you really you don't have to go in that way, but you really start to be able to creatively express yourself when you're able to break those rules and those basics that down pat, like the back of your hand. And she really showed that and expressed that in literally one sentence in the interview. So what she did is put in the work first and then found her freedom. And I'm so proud of myself to be able to say that that's what I'm doing and that's what I have been doing. I really am. And it warms my heart to really understand that I am an artist because of that, because I'm putting in the work now. I'm crafting this now. I'm choosing this now so that later in life, not later in life, in like it's my 10-year plan, guys. It's my 10-year plan. Become an artist, build this body of work, and develop my skill set. And once I have this masterful skill set, leverage it. Leverage it in ways that I enjoy creating, leverage it in ways that help and impact people positively, obviously, and leverage it in ways that feed my soul and feed other people's souls. When she talks about Super Scar, she expresses how Dream Academy really took away her authenticity, took away her freedom. When you're going through this K-pop program, you're selling yourself as a product. You're merchandise. You're a reflection of the audience, and you're not just yourself. I watched this interview, and it's an amazing interview. Go watch it, please, because she spilled the tea. I need his Patreon because I want to see that whole interview. But she really didn't realize that her influences, her American girl pop influences, are so different than the program that she was in. She couldn't perform in the way that they needed her to perform. And there's a level of authenticity and autonomy that she could not have. And she realized that she deserved and she wanted. And in that program, she had to think hard about what she wanted and if this was for her. We see in the documentary when she gets eliminated, she's like, I just don't think this is for me. And I was crying during that whole episode because I didn't really understand like why they would get rid of her. Like she was the best, but she just didn't fit the mold. And we know now that it's because of her values, and experiences are worth that. They're worth you learning about what you value, what you can tolerate, and what you can't and won't. She got into this program knowing that she wanted to have an impact on girls the same way that her idols impacted her and showed her a life that she could have. When she was living in Slovakia, trying to process a life outside of that and process building a life for herself, she followed that impact. When she was auditioning for Dream Academy, she felt like, okay, this is going to be a way that I can inspire little girls, and I'm going to do it. And she went through the experience and she learned so much, and she followed the impact that she wants to have. Now, with me, I'm a journaler. Okay, I'm a journaler. I really needed to sit down with myself throughout this whole year. I've done it multiple times, basically every night, writing about the kind of impact that I want to have and how I'm going to make that happen. The number one thing that I know about myself within my career, I mean, there's so many things that I can do. There's so many things that could be fitting. I could be a nurse. I wanted to be a death doula. I wanted to be a diplomat. I wanted to be in politics. I wanted to be a nonprofit. I still do. I wanted to be in business and sales. I still do. In marketing. I still will. I wanted to do anything and everything under the sun. And the basis of all of that is that I want to help people. I want one-on-one. I want to directly impact people throughout my entire life, throughout my entire career, because it's something that I already naturally do. My friends, my family, I am always wanting to be of service to them. That's my, I mean, I wouldn't say acts of service is my love language, but I would say that that's how I love. In the grander scheme of things, helping people think about their life. I love talking about life. I love having other people talk about their life to me. I eat it up. Like, I love hearing about it. And to scale that, when I was thinking about content and really, because this is like being seen in this way is such a new age thing. Like, when we think about TikTok and all of these things, I just think, like, what world are we living in? It's crazy. But as a Gen Zer, growing up with YouTube, I know firsthand how people who create content impact someone's life. My life has been impacted by so many people that just made comedy skits, made makeup videos, made lifestyle content, just made content and talked about themselves. It just made me so full of life when all I could think about was how hard life was and how almost impossible it felt to handle it all, and how scared I was because I was just such an anxious person. And so being able to see that, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna follow that in whatever way I choose and whatever way I want. And knowing my identity as an artist is going to help me pursue that core essence, that core element of what I will do with the work that I want to do and put into this world, and show me that identity is going to show me what it's going to look like. When you do that identity work, and this is going back to law of assumption, when you understand that assuming an identity is the only thing that you need to, one, create certain habits, two, to embody and create the life that you want, and three, to know within yourself, like, this is who I am, and no one can take this away from me. Because when you know who you are, no one can tell you who you are. When you know what you want to do and you create that, you're not going into another mold that someone is just putting onto you. And that's what I refuse to do. That's why I quit my job. That's why I literally am forcing myself to pursue this no matter how fearful I am, because this is who I am. It's just that. This is how I exist. This is how I've always existed. And that's okay. And that's how she manifested her breakout, because she had the whole plan. She had exactly how she wanted to impact people. She had the confidence, she had the skill set. She knew that no matter what happened within her internally, she knew that she could process it in a way that was fun for her, in a way that was creative. And creative expression, no matter if you're an artist or not, is so important, because just as a human existing, you are a creator. We are a part of God. We are a reflection of everything that we think and everything that we believe and everything that we do. And everything that happens internally reflects externally. So really, when she left Dream Academy, like, her breakout was just inevitable. Before she was signed, she was still working with her friends and building these songs, because what did she know? She knew that when the Netflix documentary came out, she didn't know how many people would be watching it or would know her or whatever, but she knew something would come and she prepared for it. Preparation is another aspect of how to, I guess, succeed or just being in an artist's life. Because when you actually, preparation is a key part of manifestation. Because when you prepare for something that you want to happen, you're going to be ready when it happens. Okay? Like, she had the songs ready in her working life. Okay? This is when it starts getting good because this is when we start seeing the magic happen. She's done the internal work, she's done the expressing, she knows who she is. And now she has this opportunity on the horizon. All right. What does she do? She talks about Sex on the Beat in the MTV interview and inspiration. As an artist, inspiration is your lifeblood. It's your fire. It gets you going. It gets you believing when maybe you didn't have anything or you're blocked or whatever. The Artist Way talks a lot about artistic blockages, and I find it very helpful. And she talks about watching this film On the Beat and how it inspired her to write and produce Sex on the Beat. And then when she brought it to her producer, get this, her producer talks about how he's always wanted to write a song called Sex on the Beat. That was thought transmission, okay? That was alignment. When you are aligned with who you want to be, who you want to become, the world around you starts aligning. Because when something wants to be expressed, when something needs to be expressed, a piece of art, a song, Sex on the Beat needed to be expressed. So that means that producer needed to have that idea, but didn't know how to execute it. And then she came with that. And then he was like, oh, yeah, now we can execute this. Oh, the light changed. When you know yourself, that's when you can start and you build your skill set. You can start collaborating with people. And that's the stage that I'm at now. Okay. I am doing a podcast with my friend. Of course, the Bridge by Three, the podcast with my mom. And I've just also surrounded myself with so many creative people that I'm just so excited to just work together and just have a work glow up with each other and see each other win. Like, that is the way that I want to live my life. And hearing this story about this thought transmission happening made me think about the 4D. And that's a law of assumption turn. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I refer you to Taylor Tuke's channel. I'm not a manifestation coach. I really think that one consciousness is a crazy thing to see play out. Like, that happening is one consciousness. That's an idea needing to be expressed, and two separate fragments of the same whole coming together to express that idea. I think the 4D is a shared space. This brings me to that something went viral like a while ago about like idea stealing, like how if you don't execute on an idea, it will go to someone else. This is a direct contradiction. But because in the law of assumption, you're taught that you create your reality, you are the operative power, you are the one and only creator and source, I don't believe that idea stealing is a thing. I think that if something needs to be expressed, it's got to be expressed. And repetition is okay in that because we each have our individual uniqueness. And if something is expressed twice, it's still going to be expressed in two different ways. And people who reflect how this one person expressed it is going to gravitate to that. And then the same for the other person. I don't think that idea stealing or idea hopping or whatever that's called is really grounded, because essentially you have the power. She was able to do this collaboration and create something so amazing and iconic and cunty because of this curiosity play she had with her artistry after she watched that documentary and that film and got that inspiration. And being curious is also another characteristic of an artist. Playing with your curiosity allowed me to step out of my depression, being curious about myself, curious about what I enjoyed, curious about what I could do, even like doing this and experimenting. It's like just me being curious with what I can create. And Hitomi recently released a video where she talks about her art and allowing herself a safe space to just express while being bad at it, because just expressing for the sake of expressing is so beautiful in and of itself and very much okay. And we have this capitalistic idea that when we express or when we create something, it has to be monetizable, it has to make an income. And especially as an artist within the structure, making this the way that you earn a living, and I put quotes around that because I have feelings about earning a living, okay? That sentence alone like makes me rage a little bit. But earning a living as an artist makes doing something that's supposed to be so beautiful and so fun and so free very stressful. Very life or death, very much not what the essence of creativity is. But being curious allows you to explore, allows the adventure of life, and allows you to exercise your identity and change your mind about things, change your mind about who you are and what your capabilities are, and push yourself. And I just find it so beautiful that we're able to have sex on the beat, because she was just being curious with an idea about challenging the ideas of sex and womanhood and what it means to show that, and what it means to be taboo, and how uncomfortable can I make you until it's like weird, you know? So when you're an artist and when you build a skill set, you build that mastery. I am still in that stage. I am collaborating, but I am still building this mastery. And I saw this tweet and it really spoke to me, because the different identities that you have to have in order to be devoted to your life, and I'll talk about death by devotion later in this video, but in order to be devoted to what you're pursuing, you do need to have all of these factors and identities and ways of thinking in order to execute properly and to execute in a way that's received properly. So when you have this body of work and you've really exercised all of these identities to their core and you feel confident and you start collaborating, then what happens? People start noticing, people see your work. And then what happened to Adele? Grimes happened. Grimes happened. Having Grimes in your DMs is crazy work. Having Grimes in your DMs is crazy work. Like, just all of the stories of like artists and fashion designers and people just showing up on social media. And that's the beauty of social media. Just show up and people will see you. Tyler the Creator talking about how he goes and scrolls and you never know who's watching, because I be watching people and be like, oh, this is good, you know, and reach out to them. Like, you just never know. And what, as an artist, you need is, one, a little bit of a mentor, but it doesn't even really need to be a mentor relationship. It can just be a collaboration with someone who has a bit of notoriety, because that gets more eyes on you. When they see your work, they start to believe in you. They start to understand that you're dedicated to this and they want to work with you. When she talks about the Superscar project, she talks about her sister coming in to play her little self and how her sister was like not impressed at all that like Grimes was like working with her, and her sister loves Grimes. But she talks about people that worked on the project and believed in the project, and how it was basically no budget and it was just like paying favors back and forth. And that's what I really love about collaboration as well, because you're not doing it for monetary satisfaction. You're doing it because you believe in a project, because you believe in a person. What? Oh my god, guys, should I do the rest of the video like this? I'm weak. My light just went out. This video is so chaotic. This video is so chaotic. Okay, it's charging. How do you guys feel about this? Should I continue? This is a little... I'm so weak. Okay. I'm gonna go with it because this is a sultry vibe and it's fitting. So let's talk about working with people with notoriety, right? She already learned from her experience with Dream Academy what it feels to be taken advantage of, what it feels to be in a vulnerable position, and not enjoy that. Not enjoy being taken advantage of. And when you enter a professional arena, that's the battles that you have to really fight. You have to hone in on your values. One of those unified values that artists have is the need for freedom. Some artists, and this is an okay mindset to have, they just want their art to be seen and they want to make money off of it. That's an okay ideology. Like, I have no qualms with that, really, other than it being a waste a little bit. Because when you're only thinking about money, you're thinking about what people want and not necessarily what people need. I think about that when it comes to content. Like, yes, I'm interested in the algorithm. I'm interested in getting my videos out there, but I'm way more interested in being my authentic, messy self. Not showing that I do not know what I'm doing, but I'm also enjoying myself while I don't know what I'm doing. And connecting with people, because that's my number one value. My number one value is community and freedom. And I wouldn't sacrifice that for, let's say, a brand deal or for whatever that may come my way. But those are decisions that I'm going to have to make along my career. I'm going to have to advocate for myself. And I'm going to be vulnerable if I don't hone in on those values and hold them to my heart and really embody those. And when you think about how you want your audience to experience art, it's interesting because the thing about art is that it's for the audience. It's for interpretation, and it's for what a piece of art means in someone else's life, not just what it meant to create it. And another reason why I love art, I mean, when Lin-Manuel Miranda was making Hamilton, he was doing it because he didn't see anything like this and he had a vision. He has no idea. I literally was in the same room with him at a Hamilton sing-along, and I will never forget being in the same room with him. But he'll never understand fully what Hamilton meant to me. Him creating that play meant that every day where I was like really low on life and not feeling like it was worth living, I would feel like it was worth living after listening to that whole soundtrack on the way to school. So much so that I would listen to the soundtrack on my way home from school and repeat that every single day. And he doesn't have to know that, because that's the magic of the art. It has a life of its own, and it impacts people when they need it. A lot of life, I'm realizing, is the system versus the self, especially in this climate, in this political climate. It is challenging these systems, being visionaries and creating things that we haven't seen or don't see or see problems with and holes in, and patching those holes and just burn it all down. Just burn it all down and let's create a new one. Let's collectively create a new one. But it starts with the self. It starts with what are important values to us, and do the people around us share those values, and do they embody those values? Do they make the choices that someone with those values will choose, because your life is all about choices. And you can't say that you have this value and then not act a certain way. And we see that happen all of the time. I watched Adele's Superstar live featuring Carly. I love Carly. She was done so dirty in Dream Academy, but we're not even going to talk about it. Um, but she talks about how she loves to provoke. Yes. And I was like, yes, clock it. Because art is supposed to be thought provoking. I am of the opinion that any form of art is supposed to be thought provoking. I hope that you watch this video and you have something to think about and something that encourages progressive thought in your mind when it comes to this topic and any other topic that I talk about, because thought is everything. I've lived in my thoughts. I've lived in my la la land, my mom likes to call it, for my entire life. And your thoughts are your power, because you're able to divine channel these understandings and create your own understandings and form your opinions and have discernment with your choices. And that all comes from thought. Thought creates. Thought is our magic. It really is. And so that's why art is magic, because it provokes that thought. And whatever it is you're thinking about will allow you to learn about yourself and make choices based off of what you learn. Lastly, one of the inspirations that was just so spot on when it comes to Adele's working process is just seeing a vision come to life. She talks about the Superstar video in her live and how, as she was making and in the studio with her friend recording it, she knew what the music video scenes were going to look like. And I took a deep breath when she said that, because I knew I wanted to be a director when I listened to Dark Red by Steve Lacy, and I literally saw a music video, and I was with my bestie and I was explaining how I have this whole vision for it. She was like, wait a second, let's write this down. And chaos. I'm telling you, chaos. Okay. She was like, let's write this down. And we went second by second, and I explained to her everything that I saw within my head and put it into the timeline of the whole video. And sadly, we never created the video, but if I could go back in time, I would push us to really film that music video for no reason, because it involved our high school. Like, the location was our high school. There was a whole storyline, and through that I learned that I was a visual thinker. And talking to my aunt about doing that with my friend, she was like, oh, that sounds like you directing. That sounds like you being a director. And that's what put the seed in my head. That's where all of that just blossomed and started. And it's because I had this vision. And that's what happens when I listen to music. That's what happens when I'm watching TV and I come up with a video idea. And that's why I have a notes app full of video ideas that I need to execute on this year, because I need to work on my execution and making these things that are just ideas that live in this 4D and bringing it into reality and just seeing it come to life. Because when Adele talked about her Superstar video, now that video is just exactly what she wanted it to look like. And it's out there. And that's such a beautiful thing. Like, when I think about making happiness for myself and finding just peace and happiness, I think about that. All of my ideas blossoming and blooming and coming to life. Okay, we're back. No more scary bedtime story energy. Other little things that I took from the interview is a little bit of like my personal training inspo. She talks about her language learning journey and how she would learn songs phonetically and not understand the meaning. And then later on, when she did learn English fully, she understood what the actual words meant because she was just saying them but didn't understand what they meant. I recently did karaoke and we were singing a Kali Uchi song. We were singing some Bad Bunny. We were having a grand old time. And I realized that a lot of my Spanish journey has been just me learning songs phonetically using the alphabet and not really understanding what they mean. But I'm gonna keep doing it. I'm gonna keep going because that's just gonna be a part of my journey. And going to the Kali Uchis concert really showed me, it really brought it out of me, like how much listening to Kali Uchis let me understand that I could learn Spanish, that I could connect to my heritage and connect to this culture that I felt so distant from. And it made me so emotional to really understand how Kali Uchis and her body of work allowed me to assume the identity of someone who speaks Spanish and feel capable to do so. And so I just thought that was so cool. And she talks about one of her favorite songs being the Diva Homecoming Dance Break, specifically, because she practiced that, and anytime it comes on, she knows she got it down. And that just reminded me of like the Cheetah Girls, like all of the Cheetah Girl songs and the dance break. If that ever comes on in the club, I need all of y'all to be ready because I'm gonna be ready. I need all of y'all to be ready. And another thing that I got from the Super Scar Live is just what it means to be in alignment, because she was just there with friends, people that she collaborated with, and it was so much fun. It was so much fun. This woman is close to my age, okay? We're doing the same shit. Not on the same level, obviously, but we're just hanging out with friends, being creative, hanging out with people who are also creative, and doing stuff together. And having a grand old time and riffing and bantering and all of this stuff. And it's just like when you're just around people that are on the same type of timing that you are, have the same vibe, are good company, and who support you. Like all of the girls, everyone that was in her live, like just was celebrating her Superstar video. Like it just felt so magical and the true meaning of happiness. And what inspired this video is basically me assuming the identity of me being a dancer. I took dance classes when I was younger, and it's been a bit of a trek to see myself as a dancer at this age, and certain limitations that hold me back from even pursuing it. But these next couple of clips are going to be a bit of me breaking down how I thought about my identity as a dancer and what's inspired me, and how I'm thinking about my identity as an artist as a whole, and how Adele's Death by Devotion song specifically granted me the ability to really process and compute and understand what it means to be devoted to my craft and all of the crafts that I want to master. So I hope you enjoy this next section. I hope you've gotten a lot out of this video. Thank you so much for watching, and follow my Instagram, my Twitter, and the Bridgeback 3 podcast to see more of me. Stay tuned for more videos like these, okay? I will be coming back to this treehouse as my safe haven, just as it is a safe haven for you, okay? Comment whatever you like. Please engage because I'd be bored out here. I am so excited for this upcoming year, you guys. My focus is execution, and I just know that I'm gonna be so happy with the life that I lead. And I hope that what I've shared with you can make you feel a bit at ease and give you a bit of understanding of what it actually means to live and create your life fully, that feeds your soul and warms your heart and makes you feel all the tingly feelings. Okay, I don't want to get sentimental, but this treehouse is really important to me, and it is my safe space, and I'm not scared of it anymore. So, yay! Okay, bye. Something that's been on my mind recently is Step Up. Because Step Up is one of those movies, Step Up 3 particularly, that I grew up, I watched it, and it sort of affected me, but I didn't know why at the time, okay? I mean, the dancing moves, like, we know why Step Up is revolutionary, but I also know now that, like, I relate to Step Up because of the feeling that I got of the life of an artist. Watching it now, it's like, okay, Step Up 3 is all about Moose giving up dancing in his pursuit of building a serious life as an engineer, which he inevitably becomes in Step Up Revolution, and that gets challenged in Step Up Revolution. But he's at NYU and he's in love and he's balancing his two loves of Camille and dancing and not disappointing his parents, but also not disappointing society. And watching it now is really crazy as I'm doing the artist way and connecting with my artistry. And I don't know, I was very much moved by it when I saw Adele's Death by Devotion music video. Listening to the song, because I listened to Superstar and then I listened to Death by Devotion on Spotify, but listening to and watching the actual video, she's portraying the tumultuous life of a ballerina dancer. Like, I know as someone who practiced ballet a little bit, but also has done my research about like the work that goes into training your feet for the shoes, the point shoes, and like doing turns and the perfection and grace that you need to achieve. And it's so, this is about dance like generally, but you need to be able to start that from a young age. And I feel like that's why I had such an issue with like literally trying to see myself as a dancer at this point in my life, because yeah, I did a couple classes when I was a kid, but can I actually do this now? Actually watching the music video, seeing her playing, seeing the bruises on her feet, seeing her smoke a cigarette, get in the studio, abuse herself a little bit through art, and then leave with her cunty outfit on, like, that got me. And then I listened to it again and I started really thinking about the lyrics. All right, so I want to go through the lyrics with you. She starts off and it starts on this sort of Horizon production sound. I love Labyrinth, so like synths and all of that are my shit. So the vibe of the song is already my shit. And she starts with "Don't stop and keep it going, stuck in perpetual motion." Stuck in motion is where I am right now. Because for a long time, all I felt was stagnant. I felt like I was doing a lot for school before my gap year, and I was inevitably going to end up with nothing. I would continue to do what I was doing, and I would finish off and graduate with a heavy heart and years worth of pain. And I was just stuck in that motion of waking up every day and doing the same thing, and it reflected my trauma. The same thing that I was experiencing living in an abusive household, and it reflected literally being in an environment where you have to keep going because there's no other option. And school never felt like that for me. School felt like a reprieve, and my identity was completely shattered when I was in this perpetual motion and I still felt like I was getting nowhere. I want to be somewhere and I'm getting nowhere. So what does that mean for me? Don't stop, my ego showing. Symptoms of death by devotion. My ego showing? There is so many ways that relates to me, personal ways. But like, it's her repetition of don't stop throughout the song that, yes, you can relate this to dancing, you know, the ego that you get when you practice a certain thing over and over and over, when you know yourself, when you know how to move. But ego can also be not knowing how to ask for help and needing to learn how to ask for help. Skipping to the pre-chorus, she goes, work the horse, no ketamine, work the horse, no ketamine. First of all, referring to yourself as an animal, where as a society we degrade animals. Like when we think about horses, we think about horse and carriage, like we think of their purpose as like in American society moving people around to be, you know, it was our first mode, one of our first modes of transportation. Like we lost the ability to see animals in community with us, and so as a result, like no ketamine, no drugs, no push, no nothing. Work that horse. Work yourself to death because you're so devoted. And then she goes into the chorus, oh God, I want it. Like her screaming, ah, like all of that, her screams are my internal screams every day. I scream in my pillow. I act like I'm screaming at the top of my lungs in my head. Like I scream all the time. And there's something about that underlying vocals that really hits my heart when it comes to our full capabilities. I know the adrenaline that I get when I dance, but I don't know the rush of adrenaline of actually feeling competent and feeling in my perfection, that ego. My own self-deprivation on and on like rotation. I think that anyone who struggled with ED, not even as a dancer, but like anyone who struggled with that, or even any form of self-abuse or self-loathing, can relate to this line. I know that I heard this line and I was like, yeah, rotation, cycles. We are stuck in this self-loathing, deprivation cycle, this limiting cycle that hinders us from taking care of ourselves and even seeing ourselves as worthy of being taken care of. And suffocate my emotion, call it death by devotion. I feel that ends. And then she goes into sticky like a magazine, like ending that with just this is a poem. This is a poem, okay? But let's go back to suffocate my emotion, because when I think of working and when I think of actually getting to this vision, this crazy, insane thing that I want to create for myself, I think about how much I have to compartmentalize, which is something that is from my mother, and like how she's so strong and she's able to deal with the different aspects of life, and like it's like water on a duck. Like she's able to brush things off, but it's not because of suffocating emotion. It's really like you have to have a certain detachment from the absurdity of life. As a sensitive human, I think that it was hard for me to come to terms with that, and I think I have come to terms with that, even though like work kills me every day. The way I've come to terms with it is being raw. I'm okay. I accept my emotions. I accept how I'm feeling in a given moment, because I know that everything around me is absurd and crazy. So I have to keep a peace of mind, a mental state, mental fortitude that's impenetrable. And like phrasing it as suffocating my emotion brings out the pain in her performance, the pain and the video, and the genius that comes from pain. We often, it's this trope of like the artist and the madman and the genius and the crazy, and it can be true when you have these sensitive humans who are able to create such beautiful art, and have this artistic genius, but also completely go batshit or completely unhinged emotionally. Ending that verse with "I feel," to me feels like the realization that I came to. Like, it's okay for me to feel my emotions. It's okay for me to go through the everyday, and it's okay for me to not be okay as I'm putting in the work. And as long as I'm putting in the work, I can have that ego, and I can have that, yeah, I'm doing this, and I don't give a fuck how I feel. Like, it's harmful, but there's worse ways that I can harm myself, and like that's how I'm thinking about it right now, right? Work the horse, no ketamine, work the horse, no ketamine, and then the beat kicks in. We have this consistent dum, 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 and then we have like her spinning. Okay, so the dizziness and the chaos, but also the fixedness of that chaos, because in order to spin that frequently, you have to keep your eye on one point. So of course she's showing off her like dance technical ability, but she's also showing how to maintain composure in that absurdity while also spinning like crazy. Like, doesn't life feel like you fucking spinning into the abyss and you just can't stop because you're stuck in that perpetual motion? Like, the videographer ate with the cuts, with like the frame. Like, it was completely insane just watching her do that and feeling that scream in the, oh god, I want it. Like, don't stop, keep it going, wake up, bus, another bus, club, don't stop, keep going, don't stop, keep it going, don't stop, keep it going. I'm stuck, out of control. I'm stuck, bro. I'm stuck in a life that I want to create that's not yet here. I'm stuck in this dizziness, this perpetual motion. And the intensity, the sheer intensity of that sequence, that dizziness, after she's literally screaming in her O's and her exhaustion, and she's falling in the video, and she's getting back up, and she's getting her hair out of her face, and she's like, oh, don't stop, keep it going, don't stop, keep it going. And we end with death, 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 death by devotion. Whoa. Okay? Let's talk about how death is inevitable. We're gonna die anyway. We're killing ourselves anyway. Slowly. We're dying slowly every time we wake up. That's a reality that I think about. I think about death a lot. I think that dealing with your feelings towards death is a way of dealing with how you live your life. And as an artist, that slow creep up, death, 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 that is gonna be by devoting yourself, to your art, to whatever it is that you want to do. Death by devotion. I will be happy if I die by my devotion to my life. Period. Oh, whoa. Oh, whoa. What is life? Whoa, wow. What is life? Like, that's how that last sentence feels. I didn't wake up every day like, oh my God, what is life? In the most curious, cynical, but also faithful way. I don't know how I can be both cynical and faithful, but I am somehow. The duality of life, the complexity of humans and human experience. I've never felt so connected to my younger self as I'm practicing my art. I will die by this devotion. and I will be grateful for it. And I was talking about Moose and his experience, but while he's trying to balance Camille and building a life for himself and not, crushing under the pressure of society, he's also trying to keep his artistry alive because he meets this dance crew that inspires him. And this dance crew, okay, when we talk about the life of an artist, what do we think? Fucking poverty. Poverty.
Nice place. It's a little small to live in.
My parents converted this place years ago. We all live and train upstairs and run a club downstairs to make ends meet. Kind of like our secret hideout. Alright, this is it.
We're all impoverished anyway. I mean, look at the world that we're living in right now. But like, they were going through such a hard time. When that scene where they got kicked out of their warehouse, I remember sobbing at that scene. Like, they were a family. They had found family, and I think that's why I connected with that movie so much, because I love found family.
Your identity. We live together, work together, battle together, but unlike other crews, we all have different styles. I found all these guys out in the city. Crazy talent, but no place to go. We've become kind of a pseudo family here, where we can be ourselves and rules don't apply.
Community is the only way that we get through this, and they needed Moose. They relied on him, and he knew that, and he was under so much pressure. They needed the dancing Moose in order to keep their livelihood and keep their artistry alive. And their crew leader, like that fight scene when they all got kicked out, it was a question of, will we give up now when all of the odds are against us, or will we keep fighting? He wanted to keep fighting. Okay, he wanted to be with his family. He wanted to film them living the life that they want, that they deserve. And he was so disappointed in them for not believing in that moment and giving into the pressures of society. And like, happy for Moose, just like in Step Up Revolution, like that guy was happy for Moose when he was like, nah bro, I got a job, I'm an engineer, I can't go out to Las Vegas and be doing all this stupid shit. Like, I'm about to get married. Like, I mean, he was about to get married, but basically. And what happened? He gave the don't give up speech, and Moose brought his ass to him in that diner and was like, let's fucking do it, okay? Because I'm MJ and we're gonna be starting something. Let's start it. Let's finish it. And now what happened? Step Up Revolution. He uses his resources. He uses his genius. Just like he did in Step Up 3 with the light show at the final scene, the final dance. And they won the competition. They won both competitions in Step Up 3 and in Revolution. Why? Because of Moose. Because of his ability to never give up on his artistry and also use all of his resources at his disposal. Illegal or not. He knew when to walk away. In Step Up Revolution, he knew when it was time to go home, no matter where they were in the competition, because he needed to figure out his stuff with Camille. He needed to figure out how to save his community and his love. But what did they do? Come back. They figured their stuff out and they came back. He was devoted to it. Through all of the things that, all of the noise that got in the way, he ended up still being devoted to it.